Electile Dysfunction 2024. This wasn't even for our country, but we had to include it.
We can talk about Ron DeSantis and Gavin Newsom if we want to, because this was the shadow debate that we all deserved. And Ron DeSantis actually brought out the book. He knew the books were going to come up, and he brought out the book that he had censored that they're trying to say Florida is censoring to show how graphic. You couldn't even show it on TV. And he brought the book.
Oh, wow.
Which was a baller move.
I actually have something that I brought that some parents have objected to. So this is a book that's in some of the schools in California. Florida, this is not consistent with our standards, called Gender Queer. Some of it's blacked out. You would not probably be able to put this on air. This is pornography. It's cartoons. It's aimed at children, and it's wrong. So this should not be in schools. When people on the left say that somehow you're banning books by removing this from a young kid's classroom, no, this is not age appropriate.
He also brought the poop map, which we've covered here on Dumpster Fire many years ago, the poop map of San Francisco.
This is a map of San Francisco. There's a lot of plots on that. You may be asking, what is that plotting? Well, this is an app where they plot the human feces that are found on the streets of San Francisco. And you see how almost the whole thing is covered, because that is what has happened in one of the previous greatest cities this country's ever had. Human feces is now a fact of life, except when a communist dictator comes to town.
So those were his two viral moments. I do actually think that, as I've said many times on this show, is the debate we deserve in this country. At least it is the two visions and paths of America that we might be fighting over. At least these guys are young and they're not two octogenarians who are clinging to life and power. So I watched it because I hate myself, but also because I'm interested to see. It wasn't, Gavin cannot answer a question. The guy is so slippery. Gavin, answer a fucking question, challenge, impossible. He couldn't do it. They immediately started talking to him about all the people who left, and he just dodges and weaves. The other crazy thing, as always, is the two Americas. I was on Twitter and X, whatever, and one side was like, DeSantis, this is a murder. He's dunking on Newsom. And then there's a whole other faction of people, and they're like, Newsom is destroying. It's so crazy to me how you can look at an event and just see it completely differently. I think they both... I feel like this would be the debate we would deserve if we had a functioning democracy and country, but we don't.
I feel like candidates in debates should be made to answer the question. And if they don't, the moderator should be like, you didn't answer the question. You didn't answer the question. The final, seriously, the entire debate would be trying to get one person to answer one question.
Hannity kept trying to get Newsom to answer the question, but he is a mass. It's like he ducks and moves and he's so slippery. He's just a career politician. I've never seen anyone. I will give Newsom credit. At least he showed up. Trump won't even show up to debate DeSantis. And neither will Biden, because neither one of them have anything other than hamsters in their minds rummaging around. Anyways.
I know. This shadow campaign is very strange.
That's the other thing. He kept giving DeSantis crap for how he was doing against Trump and how he was performing. I'm like, at least he has the balls to run. You're meeting with the leader of China and shaking hands with world leaders and inviting them to cleaning up your poop-ridden city for them, and then just kind of waiting in the wings until weekend at Biden's comes to a crapping stop, and then you can just step in, and he can just do that until... he's missed all the filing deadlines, so it would have to be like something happened.
Right.
But he has to stand up there and also be like, this wouldn't be me. It would be Kamala. It would be President Kamala. He and Carol Markowitz, who's always hilarious on Twitter, was like, oh, look at Gavin acting like he doesn't want to push Kamala off a cliff. So I I don't know. I enjoyed it. At least it talked a lot about the things that are happening in America. DeSantis he's weak on abortion, that he doesn't seem confident in whatever his belief is. He's always bringing up that weird lady Penny who survived her abortion. And it's just a weird story. And he does not know what to do with his face. I can see how Gavin is just the more polished, like slick Obama-esque politician, because even though he says nothing, doesn't have any facts right, doesn't need to because he knows the mainstream media will cover for him, doesn't have to really say anything of substance, can just slip and slide and dodge and turn it around and never answer a freaking question. I really think DeSantis is like a nerdy introvert who likes to study books, but he does not know what to do with his face, so he'll try and smile. It's like someone told him to keep smiling, but then his face falls and then he smiles and falls. On your banning binge in the state of Florida. As it relates to parental rights, come on, California, it's in our Constitution. You know, I remember in the 1970s, we had a bill. And the poor guy, you can see, he's great when he's talking, but when he's not talking, you're like, what is happening with your face? But these are the things that we should be talking about as America, like abortion, state by state, late term. What about all the people leaving California? What about prices of energy and gas? What about how would you deal with China? It's all relevant. And unfortunately, none of it matters. Neither one of these people is going to be running in 2024, more than likely.
Well, it's going to be the candidate. Yeah.
And then we're going to have to just laugh, all of us together. We're going to get through this, guys. We're going to get through it.
It's false. No way. Not this time.
But in a more hilarious election that took place in the 2 weeks that we were off, Argentina
has even its own crazy candidate who won. Libertarian and chainsaw-wielding candidate Javier Milei wins his presidential election bid in Argentina.
I mean, first of all, more politicians should be walking around carrying chainsaws, I think. They should just be wielding them at random. It just seems like something that they should be doing. Maybe it'll make them seem like the common man just out there getting their wood ready for the winter since they can't afford the gas prices anymore. Wood. Nothing I say about Javier will be as funny as anything Javier says. So we will just play you clips of him calling the people that he beat collectivists and shit libs. And when asked why they were shit libs, he said, because they're shit.
Al zurdo de mierda no le podés dar ni un milímetro.
Pero ¿me podés definir zurdo de mierda? Que no
todos los que, digamos, los colectivistas, los que ponen, digamos, o sea, esa idea... A ver,
¿por qué le pones de mierda, digamos?
Porque son una mierda.
I mean, he looks fun. I'd party with him, for sure.
Gastar, y gastar, y gastar, y gastar. Esa es nuestra regla fiscal.
He has an alter ego as General ANCAP and dresses up in like a superhero costume.
How come all of these other countries got better Donald Trumps than we did?